The Sweet Time Suite is a composition by Kenny Wheeler, and one of the difficulties in playing Kenny Wheeler's music is it's very complicated harmonically, and what the band managed very well was to balance out the way the chords were played, because they've got lots of dissonances within the chords, so they did that extremely well, and they also played very well together in the phrasing. I don't think there are any real sort of minuses about the performance of it, because it's quite short, but it has to be sensitively played, which they did, and it has to be really well balanced, which they did. And what I liked about it was that when they came to the end of it, they went straight into the next piece. But Kenny Wheeler's music, you have to have a very good ear to play it accurately, because you've got to hear where you are in the texture of the chordal structure. And when you know where you are, you have to make sure your intonation is spot on to make it sound right. And they managed to do that. And for young people to be playing that music, which looks very easy on the paper, but to be able to actually bring it to life in a performance is quite something. They went into the next piece, which is First Circle, which is a Pat Metheny piece. And the difficulty with that piece was that it starts with lots of time changes, so they have to start by clapping the rhythms. Now, it's very difficult to clap rhythms accurately, particularly when there are quite a lot of you doing it. They managed to do it pretty well to start with. The difficulty is when it goes on for a while, keeping the rhythm going when you're clapping your hands is more difficult than you think, particularly when there are quite a few of you. So one of their difficulties with that piece was that the time, every now and then, would just rock a little bit, and that's quite understandable. And to attempt to do it, which they did, without any conductor at all, is extremely brave. And I actually thought that they went at it, and they didn't take any prisoners. They went for it, and a lot of the time it worked. Some of the time it didn't. The other thing about it was that it gets very tiring for the trumpets, because they reach points where they're having to play long and high notes, and sometimes the band sort of ran out of steam. But I thought it overall was a very good performance and of a very difficult piece, and to actually attempt it at all was great, I thought. And I found it very exciting, because I have played that myself and I know how hard it is, and I just thought they did extremely well. And I think it's marvellous that you have young musicians coming into the jazz field and attempting something which is as contemporary as that, with the elan and the commitment that they brought to it. And so I like the piece. It had its faults, but as a performance, I thought they did pretty well on that. And the last piece they played is a Tom Cubis arrangement of When You're Smiling. And it's deceptively simple, but it has to be played with the right big band style. And what they did manage to do was they managed to blend the front line so that they had, it's all moving in chords, but it's also moving together. They managed to blend it harmonically, and they also managed to blend it rhythmically. So the little bends and the little throwaway phrases, little falls as we call them, worked really nicely. And I thought that the first chorus of it was very well played, and it was a very good tempo. And the rhythm section generally, I thought, played very well. And when it came to the tenor solo, we got a really nice tenor solo. He played it really good, and he was sensitive, he went round the chords the right way, he created nice lines. And the backings were well dynamic. In other words, the trombones were backing the tenor solo. They kept it nice and quiet, they kept it nice and tight, and they didn't in any way impinge upon the soloist's imagination, if you like. When they came to the climax, I thought that was pretty well managed, because it does get very high at the end for the lead trumpet and the lead trombone. But I thought that that was also well managed. And they put little extras into it, little phrases that they made into their own, which made the music come alive. And I thought that that was a very good performance of When You're Smiling. Again, it's something that I know that piece very well. And it is, as I said, easy not to play it well. It sounds easy. It isn't, but they made it sound easy, and I thought it was, that for me was my favourite of the three, and I thought that they were well into it. They were well into the style, and they played it with some panache. Well, looking to the future, I think that we as judges felt that if you're, particularly in a competition situation, sometimes it's better to find a piece that you are completely comfortable with rather than put yourself on the edge all the time, so that you can play the piece without feeling at some point it's going to get away from you, that you're going to lose control of it. I think this band's future, obviously they're young and they're students and who knows how long they'll be together. I think they can only get better and better and become quite a band in the future if they stay together, which maybe they won't, will they?